Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I am, for the most part. It's still really cold and this is still going on, but whatever. Let's dive straight in because there's a lot to cover today. So, as per your requests, you see, if you build it, she will come. If you ask it, she will deliver. We're going to have a little frugal video, yay! That looked like a lack of sincerity. Yeah, we're going to have a frugal video. And I thought we'd start off, there's going to be, just to say very quickly, so I'm still like this, in a few days time, maybe the next but one video, I'm going to do my little challenge video to you all. So one of the items on this list I'm going to cover in much more depth. This is a list of 9 habits of mine, and because I don't want to keep you here for hours and hours and hours on end, I'm going to rattle through them quite quickly. Make notes if you want to. Now, the really important thing to say straight away, there are 2 things. One, I am not a financial advisor. I don't pretend to be. I don't give financial advice. All I'm doing with this is sharing with you my habits that have enabled me to, for example, pay off my mortgage while I was still in my 40s. They enabled me to live a wage-free life. Of course, I still have to make some money to cover basic bills, but essentially a wage-free life. And bear in mind, and this is the second thing, I live in London. I live in a city. I live in one of the world's most expensive cities. So if I can do this here, anyone can. The reason I'm mentioning that city living is because I think these principles will apply to so many of you. Even if you're living in the suburbs, there will be a very few exceptions where folk are living, and they've managed to get their off-grid life. They've got a chunk of land, they've got their own well or spring for water, they've got solar panels, they've got a windmill for electricity generation through wind, they may have composting toilets, they've got the space for that. Great. I'm so jealous. Except I'm not, because I don't want to live that far away from people. But yeah, that's my kind of, let's just lay it out there now. I'm talking about those of us who can't, for whatever reason, do those off-grid things in order to, I'm just going to get rid of my hoodie. I've had my hoodie back on, but it's annoying me. We can't do those off-grid things purely because we don't have the space to do it. We wouldn't get planning permission, etc, etc. So, gulp, hang on. I prefer not to be drinking so much, but at the moment, as soon as I start to speak, this is all annoying me. Never mind. So, in at number 1, I have a question that is, it's not that it's always in my mind, it's in the back of my mind, and it's been there ever since I was a little girl, because I grew up in a poor family. My mum was poor, my grandparents were poor, but self-sufficient in so many ways. So my number 1 question is always, do I need it? It's the one where you have to be brutally honest with yourself and really disciplined to begin with, to distinguish between needing something and wanting something. Now, any of you, and I know there's a load of you, yay, who are nurses or ex-nurses, any of you who've ever worked in healthcare or social care, when you were doing your studies, you will have studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For those of you who haven't, the needs are depicted as a sort of triangle or a pyramid with, I think there's 7 layers. Can't remember exactly how many. And in a way, that's what the frugal person needs to think about too. So, of course, we have some very basic needs. We need a roof over our head. That costs. And even when I'm mortgage free, it still costs. There are costs involved. There's the land rent. I rent to actually sit on this piece of land. There's a maintenance fund we all pay into. We need a roof over our heads. We need fuel of some description, electricity for our lights, gas for our cooking, gas for our heating. You know what I'm saying. We need water. We need to turn on a tap and be able to drink water. You know, I love to drink my water. I drink gallons of it. Not actually, some days I probably do, but we need water. We need water to drink, to cook, to bathe with, even if we're not having a bath or shower, even just that bit of water to do a cowgirl wash. We need it to flush our lavatories because, you know, in the city we don't have composting loos. Those are the things we need. As a little one up from that, we need insurance of certain types. We want, for a lot of folk around the world who don't have a national health service, you will have health insurance. Even for those of us in the UK, we need to have a little bit of money aside for dentistry and opticians, because I know people think everything's free in the UK. It's not. That prescription of antibiotics I had the other day, that was £9.50, around about £9, best part of a tenner, best part of 10 quid for my drugs. So yeah, we still need to think a little bit in terms of our health needs, insurance, whether it's for your building, contents, car, whatever it is. So there's all those very basic needs. Oh, food, of course, how can I forget food? We need food. But apart from a roof over our heads, a bit of warmth and a bit of food, and clothes, because we live in a society where, you know, it's cold, we want to cover up, or because it's socially not acceptable to walk around naked. So we need clothes. But outside of those things, when you think about it, a lot of the stuff we spend our money on, we don't actually need. We have it because we want it. And it's fine to want, but if you want to live a frugal life, you need to, that's what I'm saying about being really honest about, for me, it's always that thing of, yeah, but do I really need it? And the answer 99 times out of 100 is no, I don't need it. There's another level up where you could talk about need. For example, I do need my books, and I'm going to call them a need rather than a want. I need my books because they're my social life at times, they're my escape, they are really good for my mental health. And just as I might need to put a little bit of money aside each month for my dental work or my optician work, like a sort of health insurance, if you like, my books are my mental health insurance. So yeah, get into the habit of saying to yourself, do I really need it? Now, there are some things, oh, my hair's bugging me today, I'm just going to rearrange it. There are some things, there are other things that I think I need. So, for example, I might, and I talked about this at the end of last year, I think, I need seeds, because there are some seeds I can't swap for, I haven't grown myself. I might need bean poles to support my plants. I might need some chicken manure to help my plants do their best. Those needs I make a mental note of. So this is number 2, this is my second point. The first point is, it is very simple. Do I need it? Question mark. So the second point is, if you have identified needs, I might say I need a couple of new tops, because after I did my wardrobe clear out, crikey, I realised I really don't have very many clothes. There's quite a lot of stuff in the wardrobe which is summer. I really don't have much by winter clothes. So I'll say to myself, I'll make a mental note, this is point number 2, make a mental and physical note if you need both, of the things you do need. A winter top, some bean poles, some chicken manure. I can't think of any other examples, but yeah, I make a mental note and I make a physical note. And that way, when I'm out and about, I can grab an opportunity if I see it. So if I'm walking down the street, down past someone's front garden, and they've put something on their front. Sorry, I've got some notes here. You have to excuse me if I tip my head down. I don't want to forget anything. They may have put some stuff out on their front wall with a label, "Take me." We get a lot of that in this neighbourhood. And it might be that it's a pile of bricks or a pile of paving slabs. If I've got my mental list always on hand in my head, I'll see the paving slabs and I think, oh, that's exactly what I need for my shed base. Brilliant. Grab the opportunity and get them. Likewise, if I go into a charity shop and I've gone in to browse the books because I need books, I might, while I'm there, like I did the other day with that orange top I had on, I spotted it and I suddenly thought, oh yeah, I could do with a couple of new tops. And that day was great. They had a sale on. It was buy one, get one free. So I got 2 tops for £4. £2 a top. The ladle, when I picked up that ladle, I've been needing a new ladle for so long. And that was a need because the previous one, the plastic one, was disintegrating and I was worried about the fact that I might actually get small pieces of plastic in my food and I didn't want it. So yeah, if after you've gone through your point number 1, do I need it? My basic needs. I don't really need it, or there is something I do need, but it's not an urgent need. That's the other thing with being frugal. You don't go out shopping for that thing. You keep it here, you make your mental note, your mental list of it, and when an opportunity arises, you make the most of it. Back to, say, with the 2 tops I bought, I wanted long sleeve tops because it's winter. If I'd have said to myself, I need long sleeve tops, I am going to a shop, I would have spent £20 on a top, second top another £20, 40 quid. None of it was urgent. Yes, I could do with them, but I don't need it right now. So get used to the idea of waiting and hoping a bit and maybe putting feelers out, but don't rush out to the shops to fulfill those few needs you've identified, because the chances are something will come up for very little money or for free. And this is my point number 3. They're out of, I've written my points down, I've numbered them and they're all out of order now. Bear with me a second. So annoying. What I should maybe do is, as we're chatting, strike that off, strike that off. So you've identified your needs. You haven't rushed out to fulfill them. You've made a mental note. You're keeping your eyes open. The third habit of a frugal girl is to put the feelers out wide. So I remember it must have been about 3-4 years ago. I was after a water bot. Didn't really want to buy a new one, and I joined my local free cycle group. Now obviously this is going to be different in different parts of the world. You may be in a country where you don't have free cycle but you have other such things. Go online in your country, and I don't know what you might use as your words in Google, but Google something along the lines of, you know, free stuff, group for free stuff, whatever combination of words. And you will find for your area, there will, I'm sure, in most countries, be a group that offers free stuff. So, Free Cycle in the UK. I think Facebook Marketplace also does free stuff, I'm not entirely sure. That's kind of like, that covers all Facebook. But one of the other things I did was I joined 2 local Facebook groups for my little village and the next village over. In other words, I joined groups that were within walking distance from my home. So if something came up that I could use, brilliant. I can get there. I don't need to use a car. I don't have a car, I don't drive. But also, I don't even need to use a bus. So that reduces one bus fare. So yeah, number 3 is sign up for free stuff wherever you can, whatever, you know, of those groups are available. But also bear in mind your charity shops. I know, again, in other parts of the world you call them thrift shops or consignment stores. In the UK they are very specifically charity shops. And we don't call them charity because us, the customer, are a charity case. You know, it's not like that. It's not a patronising thing to say, a charity shop. It's because those shops are raising money for a specific charity. For instance, in the UK, up and down the country, there will be Cancer UK shops. What are they called now? They've changed their name, haven't they? It doesn't matter. But there are all over the country, there are shops you can go to where every purchase you make, that money is going towards cancer research, for example. So yeah, have a little poke around in your neighbourhood, find out where those shops are. And in some cases, it may be worth finding out where they are in the next town over, because perhaps you need to go to the next town over for something else. This is the whole bus ride thing. I try to conglomerate things. For instance, in a little over a week's time, I finally have an appointment at the hospital with the consultant about my knees. That is a bus ride away. It's a whole different neighbourhood. It's where I used to go to buy fabric. That fabric shop is closed. They retired and closed down. Anyway, when I go for that appointment, I won't do it before just because of timing, but after my appointment, there are a myriad charity shops in that neighbourhood. So I'll go and trawl them all with my little, I've got my list in mind. So yeah, 1, do I need it? 2, make a mental note of what you do need. 3, sign up for Free Cycle, do a bit of research, find out where there are charity shops, thrift shops, even things like on your town notice board, if you have such a thing online. It might be, you know, at the town hall or a church or whatever. Find out when there are going to be jumble sales, yard sales, car boot sales, that sort of thing. It is possible to go shopping without going to shops. Right. This maybe should have come first. Now this subject I'm going to explore in much, much more depth in the next video when I'm... Hang on a sec. Still coughing like a maniac. Right. Yes, this... where are we up to now? That's 1, 2, 3. We're on to number 4. That will be number 5. I'm just correcting my own numbers. We're going to go into this in more depth in the next video when I'm going to set you up with the challenge of a no or low spend year. One of the really, really, really important things is to acknowledge, be honest, fess up, know where you are at right now with your money. You know, if you've been spending more than you should, if your credit cards are mounting up, whatever it is, it's time to kind of get a grip on all that and know exactly what your money situation is today. And also know, really thoroughly know what your goal is. Is your goal to just get rid of the credit cards? Is your goal to pay off your mortgage early? Is your goal to save up for the most amazing holiday you've ever had? Maybe you haven't had a holiday for 10 years and you really want a holiday. So whatever it is, you're going to have to bite the bullet and become your own accountant. And become your own accountant regularly. Probably I would recommend on a monthly basis. So you start to see exactly what's coming in every month and exactly what's going out every month. Without that knowledge, you're just going to be flopping and flipping around in this miasma of, oh, well, maybe I don't have a coffee on that day because that's going to save me a bit of money, but then the next day you go and blow 50 quid on buying t-shirts you don't need. So I would say absolutely, probably this should have been my first point, but know where you are at today, right now, with your money. Become your own accountant and start to get used to the idea of budgeting. Which leads me on to point number 5. I told you I'm rattling through things today because there are 9 points to make. And some of these we'll be exploring in a bit more detail later down the line. So number 5, when you know what you've got coming in and you know what your basic needs are, the roof over your head, the power, the fuel, whatever it is you're using, the food you need and the clothes you need to put on your back, you know what's coming in, you know what you need. Think about assigning a sum to each of those each month. And this might be a case of, with your current bank account, you might end up opening 4 different savings accounts. You might do the envelope method. I personally wouldn't do the envelope method just because I think I'd dip into it by accident. But I definitely, at the beginning of every month, so at the end of each month, my money comes in from the shop, YouTube, whatever else I've been doing, sewing commissions, what have you. And at the beginning of the month, before I even touch any of that money, I divvy it out. I divvy it out amongst numerous accounts. Okay, this came up once before, just to say in the UK that banking in the UK, for the most part, is free. So having these different accounts, it doesn't cost me any money. I realise that for some of you, if it does cost, that might be, so you'll have to think of different ways to do it. But I highly recommend divvying out the money. So I have an account that pays for all my basic needs. The roof, the fuel, the water, the food, not the clothes, but it covers all of that. So the very first bit of money I get in each month goes to that. That is the priority. And then I have other little bits here and there. You know, I save a bit for my needs that I can wait for, clothes, chicken manure, whatever it is. I have another little account to save for emergencies, for, you know, the kind of the house life situation. Another little account for emergencies, such as if my sewing machine was to break, if my computer was to break, those assets that I use to generate my bit of income, little bit of savings. Anything outside and on top of that, there isn't usually anything, but sometimes I get to the end of the month and I think, oh, I've got 5 quid. And I can do one of 2 things. I can either put it into one of those accounts, or I can say, you know what, I'm going to blow it on some chocolate, a book and a top. A little treat. It's really important to treat yourself from time to time when you're living really, really frugally, because otherwise it gets boring. More of that in another video. So yeah, divvy out your money, but that's kind of 2, that's point number 4 and point number 5. Know exactly where you are today, become your own accountant, and think about divvying out any money that comes in for absolutely all those essentials that you have to have. And then the rest, stash it. Stop spending it, stash it, and use that later on for whatever it is you're trying to do. So, I would say my other big one, point number 6, is plan. Plan. Now, again, I know that can sound quite boring. You know, I am a planner, I am a list maker, but I think it's those habits which enable me to do what I do. You know, I plan as much as I can. Obviously, there are some things which are out of my control, but one of the big things I plan is my food and my eating. Generally, I will plan a weekly or 2 weekly menu, I mean, I don't necessarily plan it to the extent of like Monday night I'm eating this, Tuesday night I'm eating that, Wednesday night. But what I'll think instead is on Saturday I'll do a load of batch cooking. I will do enough to make food for that week. So I plan it in terms of what do I need to harvest, what is in season, what have I got growing, what's coming to fruition, what do I need to pick for meals for this week or for the next 2 weeks. Plan what I'm going to pick, and that all starts with planning what I'm going to grow. What am I going to pick? How much can I make? Plan to put excess in the freezer, make a meal, and always have a couple of portions that I'll put into the freezer. The thing about planning is, but also even things like I was saying about going to that hospital visit, I plan on that day to make the most of that day. I'm going to use my bus pass. I'll be using, to go there it's £1.50, coming home it's £1. It's going to cost me £3 to go to hospital. So I'm planning on that day to make the most of it by going and having a look at their shops, the charity shops. I'm not going window shopping and buying this, that and the other. I'm going with that list. And if I don't see anything, fine, I'll come home empty-handed. Don't spend for the sake of it. But yeah, planning hopefully means that I don't understand food waste. I was listening to something the other night on the radio and they were talking about one of the ways that we can cut carbon emissions. I mean, it's only a small contribution. Oh no, it was in my ecological magazine this month, Ethical Consumer. They were saying about, how much food waste. I don't understand that. I don't understand how people buy food, have it in their fridge for a week and then throw it away. Planning, it should mean less waste, should mean less buying in the first place. Oh, and this is point number 7. Shop with a list. So if you are going to go shopping, sorry, my computer's just beeping. If you are going to go shopping, before you go shopping, food shopping I'm talking about now, plan your menus, look at your pantry, look in your freezers, your stored produce, everything, blah, blah, blah. And if you think, right, do my meal plan this week, I have most of what I need, but I am going to need some rice, I need some powdered dried stock because I'm out of it, and I'm going to need 3 onions because I've used up all my onions. That's your shopping list, stick to it. Avoid impulse buying. I don't impulse buy because, frankly, I know that I haven't got the money in my wallet to do it. If I make an impulse purchase, that means one of my other purchases has to go by the wayside. If I'm confronted with the choice of you can either have this bar of chocolate or your bag of rice, I'm going to get the bag of rice every time because that's my food. Chocolate's lovely. I don't need it, but I need rice. You see what I'm saying? It's always those little choices. After a while, you don't need, I hardly make those thought processes anymore. They're just in there. So yes, shop with a list, and hopefully that will help you to avoid impulse purchases. Also, in terms of needs, if your shopping needs this week are food, don't go into other shops. Stop going into shops that you don't need something from. If you need food, go to a food shop. If you need some winter clothes, go to the charity shop, thrifts or whatever it is. Have a quick look, but only have a look at the clothes. If the only things on your need list is clothes, don't start looking at bric-a-brac if you don't need bric-a-brac. Although if you do need a ladle, that was on the bric-a-brac shelves, you're getting the gist and the drift by now, aren't you? And my number 9 frugal habit is, I don't know how to word this, but I'm going to call it swap down. Although actually I don't think it's a swap down, I think it's a swap up, because it's liberating me from having to spend hours and hours earning loads and loads of money to spend on rubbish. Think about it with, say, the decluttering. I mean, I really, really, really didn't have a lot to get rid of. And the biggest thing was those dresses that I don't wear anymore because I'm too big for them. And they have been expensive over the years. I hasten to add, they would all have been bought on sale. I can't remember the last time I ever bought full priced clothing, especially from Boden. But even so, you look at 10 dresses and you think they were probably £40 or £50 each. You suddenly think that's £500 I spent on those dresses. That's fine because I wore them and wore them and wore them and wore them and wore them. However, I know there are a lot of people out there, if they were to do their clutter busting, would suddenly look at a mass of stuff. They hardly know what they've got. They've hardly ever used it. They certainly don't need it. And that mass pile might represent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of spending. So we just need to get out of the habit of filling a little bit of an emotional gap in our day by purchasing something. Fill that gap with something else, not necessarily food. But anyway, yeah. So my last tip, I'm calling it swap down. But like I said, I call it swap up because it frees me up. Swap down. So, how to put it? Okay, so with food shopping, instead of buying a brand, hang on, how are you looking at the screen? Instead of buying a brand, swap down to the supermarket, for instance, the supermarket own label. For example, let's use baked beans in the UK. I'm not going to mention any names because, or we can get a tin, actually I don't know how much they cost, but we can get a tin of the most famous brand of baked beans in the UK. I don't know how much they cost, 80p? The supermarket will almost certainly have its own brand for maybe 50p. If you apply that across your whole shopping, suddenly you could be saving, should I say, 20% on your entire shop. That's that middle brand, the supermarket own, and quite a lot of supermarkets have another brand down. So if you've already been here, go swap down again and they'll have a budget range. I've got my emergency tin of baked beans that I keep in the cupboard. Ooh, I'm very good at resisting. I think they were 19 pence. I've gone from brand high-end, supermarket owned, down to the budget. Dung, dung, dung. Skipped all of that. And I've probably saved myself by doing that 60 pence. 60 pence? Oh, it doesn't sound like much, does it? If you're doing a big weekly shop for a family of 4, suddenly the exponential is huge. So yeah, swap down a brand to shop's own brand. Clothes. Swapping down, we swap from buying new clothes to second-hand clothes. I mean, that's a no-brainer in 2 ways, isn't it? We're saving money and we're saving some landfill. And another big swap down is things that you normally pay for that you can get for free. So, for example, think about things like TV. So I use the computer a lot. There's a couple of sites I use, All4 and My5. Is that what they're called? I always get them I've got them bookmarked so I don't think of the name. So All4 gives me all the Channel 4 programmes, Channel 4, More 4 and E4. And My5 is all the Channel 5 programmes. And they tend to be the channels I like anyway. It's on the computer, it's free. So if you've been paying out, all of this, you take it as far as you want to. You've got your goal, you know what it is. And if your goal is quite big, you might have to be a bit drastic in changing your habits and becoming more frugal. If your goal is quite small, you might say, well, actually, we're happy to keep that. We'll change in other areas, but we'll keep that. But for instance, with TV, there's Netflix, there's Prime, there's all that stuff. You're paying for it when there's a massive entertainment for free. So yeah, swap down from paid stuff to free stuff. Books, great example. Buying books, loaning books from the library. Now, I don't do that. There's a couple of reasons. My local library closed about 5 years ago, maybe more. So it was a council run, so it's part of the library scheme of the whole country. So even if they didn't have a book I wanted, I could put a request in and they're part of the whole loaning system for the whole country. So they didn't have it here, but a library in Manchester, for example, has it. They can send it to London, I can get it from my library. The library closed. It was slightly rescued, so we now have a community library. It's all run by volunteers, they have all sorts going on, it's fantastic. The book choices are really quite limited because they're not in the library loaning system, it's just a little standalone community endeavour we have here. I do support it, I give them some of my old books from time to time. But generally speaking, they don't have the books that I want to read. You know, it's fine, it's just not my taste, that's fine. So I do still buy my books, but my swap down is I buy them secondhand, like my clothes. My swap down, secondhand. And then I'm giving the charity shops money. When I finish the book, it'll either go back to the charity shop, they can sell it again, or I'll give it to a friend, and that's always a joy. Or it might even be something that ends up in my shop, sell it again, it's out of landfill, I might make a little bit, the charity shop made a bit in the first place. So yeah, I think, like I say, it depends how far you want to go with all of this. But do think, have that little phrase in your mind when you're out and about. You know what, I think 2 phrases when you're actually out and about. 3, come up with a third. Do I need it? That's always going to be the number 1 question. Number 2, if I need it, have it on the back burner so that perchance you may discover, but don't actively go out and buy it. Wait. Do I need it? Have the list in your head. And when you are out actually actively looking and shopping, swap down. Always think about swapping down. That'll save you a load. So that's it, that's my 9, I think I came up with in the end, my 9 sort of habits, which are, some are daily, some are monthly, some are annually. I'm going to explore some of these themes, particularly the budgeting and accounting and stuff, in a bit more detail in videos to come. But I think as a general kind of, a general sort of mindset, I think there are some good habits to bear in mind that you could start to bear in mind too. What I might do is try and précis this. I don't know if I'll get around to it. I was going to say précis it under the video. No, I know I'm not going to get around to it. You can take notes. Rewind, watch again. But yeah, I think if any of you, I know, listen, also I know a load of you are super frugal already. But for those of you who aren't and want to get a little bit more frugal, not because you want to live in sackcloth and not because you want to be eating crumbs off the floor, but because you've got a goal, a saving goal, a debt goal, whatever it is, I really think that if you think about those 9 things, you can actually make a much bigger difference than you even have any idea of at the moment. But you have to put them into practice. Right. This is now about to pack up on me, so I'm going to stop talking for today. I'll see you all again really soon. Probably, I think the next video is going to be, I'm going to be doing my seeds. Oh, I'm so excited. That is one of the most frugal things you can do, is grow your own food. So we're going to do seeds, and then we're going to launch our little no/low spend year challenge, because I know you can do it. I'm going to think about it for me as well, other things I can do. Anyway, that's all to come. It's not today. Today is done. I need the bathroom. I've just that's 500 mils of water I've just chugged. So I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Please stay well, be happy, stay optimistic. You know, all that kind of enthusiasm and optimism we start with at the beginning of the new year, it can wane so quickly, can't it? Try if you can to keep it. Yeah, we've got this. Ta-ra, lovelies. See you all soon, I hope. Cheerio.